Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we are talking about prefabs and materials. These are these are the last basic topics that we need to cover before starting creating our game. And so let's start. So first, prefabs. What's a prefab? A prefab, like the name says, is a prefabricated object. So let's say we have a game and a level, and in that level it's a office scene, office level. So we have some desks, some chairs, some computers, and it's pretty much the same actually. So it's pretty much the same model over and over, because every desk in an office should be particularly the same, more or less, right? So okay, so we have a desk and a PC and a chair. Okay, so let's say we create a chair. Let's create a chair or a table. So we start by a cube, and actually I didn't say this yet, but we can actually do more than just change these values right here. We can actually do that only on the scene view. So actually here we have the move tool. This is called the move tool, like these 3 arrows. So you can move your object right like this, or you can pick a face and move it like this and all that. So but what if we want to rotate it, but not like in the numbers, but with arrows? We can just click on E, or just come here and click on this, called the rotate tool, and we can just do this. I believe I did this in the last video, but I didn't explain it. I'm sorry, I missed that. But we can actually rotate our object in all axes, or in one particular axis, like we want, and the values will, of course, update in real time. So now we have the E, which is the rotate tool, and on the other side we have the move tool, which is W. So we actually have W and E, which are the 2 tools we need for movement and rotation, and they are side by side, so that's cool, right? But on the other side we have the scale tool, and if you guessed, it is on the R key on the keyboard. So you can press W for move, E for rotate, and R for scale. Yeah, I know. They could have used R for rotate, but this notation is not pretty bad because they are followed, and it's pretty much you're gonna be using them a lot, so you are going to get used to it pretty fast. And that's why I didn't even explain it, because it was so mechanic that I clicked there and I rotated it, but it's explained now. So W for movement, E for rotation, and R for scale, and we can use everything in our power to change this. So what I'm gonna do is create a table, like I said. So I'm gonna scale it like this, and so we have our tabletop, maybe a little more to the more slim. Now let's create another cube, and let's create the legs, our table legs. So we want this like this and like this. Now we actually want this to be like squared. Well, I want. You may not want that. So, but I'm gonna use x.1, so 0.1, y1, yes, and z 0.1. So that's what I get. So let's click W for move tool and V for snapping tool, and actually we can snap on the corner perfectly like this. And now I click F to focus, and we can see that it's perfectly in line. So that's what we want. So now let's create another copy of this leg. So Control C or V and V, sorry, and let's snap again. Okay, like this. And now let's select both of them, Control C, Control V, and we snap like this. So we have a table. Pretty cool table, I believe. So pretty normal. So now you can see that we created some objects, and they're all named cube, 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 cube. So let's rename them. So this is a tabletop, and I just did F2 to rename. That's like Windows normal key. But you can also come here and change here, or just click and click again without with some time in the between clicks. So, and this is leg 1, select 2, leg 3, and leg 4. But now, if we want to move our table, let's move this, but this is just a tabletop. We want the legs to be attached to our tabletop, right? So to do that, we need to create an hierarchy. So we want to define a parent, and we want the parent to have some children, of course, and those children will always move with the parent. If the parent moves, the children move. If the children move, the parent stays in the same spot. And that's what we are going to do that. How? Just drag. So let's take our leg, drag to the tabletop, leg 2, leg 3, leg 4. You can also drag them all if you want, that's okay. And you can see this indentation here that we have the tabletop selected, and now we select everything in that tabletop. And now we move the tabletop and everything moves. This is not the ideal solution. We can just Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, and the better solution is probably because it's probably best to create an empty object, call it table, and just drag everything inside table. So now the table is composed of tabletop, the leg 2, leg 3, leg 4, and the table is the full set of objects. And actually we can rotate this like this, but if we select the objects individually, we are going to get an IKEA set, a build it yourself. So let's just Control Z, Control Z. Control Z is to I don't know what's it called, undo. Yeah, sorry for that. So we have our table. So now for our office scene, we just Control C, Control V. Oh, so I created another table, and I have the table here. Control C, Control V. That's fine, right? So we have an office with 3 tables. So far, so good. Now, let's put our tables. Let our tables be right here, and let's talk about materials. And you'll know in a couple of minutes why I'm moving away from the subject of prefabs to the subject of materials. So materials are what gives essentially what gives color to an object. So to do that, we are going to the assets folder, our root, and go to create, and we are going to material create, and this creates a new material. Let's call it tabletop, and this will be the material for our tabletop. So now we can go here, click on this, and we have so many properties that we are not going to use them all. We are just going to use the first one, which is the albedo, and it's basically the main color of our material. Let's put it a little gray, maybe like this, and we can actually control the color to its full capacity, and we can also say if it's metallic or not. Let's say it's not, and no smoothness, so it's a pretty opaque material. So now, to apply this to our tabletop, let's select this tabletop and just drag the material to it, and you can see it changed color. But now we have a problem. Imagine instead of 3 desks, I created 100 desks. Did you find the problem yet? We have to assign this material individually, and that's a pain. To save us from that, it's prefabs. So let's just undo this. Okay, we have our material created, and let's delete the tables that we created, the copies, and let's skip this one, and let's apply the tabletop texture to it, the texture, not the material, and like this. And now let's create a prefab. How do you create a prefab? Simple. Drag and drop. Drop from the hierarchy to our project folder, and we have a prefab, table.prefab. And now we can just drag prefabs into our game, and they all will be similar to our table, like you can see. But the essential part of it is that now we can come to our tabletop material, we can change the color to red, and it changes every color to red. And this is why prefabs are a cool thing, because we can create one object, put millions of it on our level, and then when we forgot, oh damn, I forgot to add one component or one material to it, we don't need to worry, because we can just change the prefab and apply it as normal as we apply the changes, and the changes are going to take effect immediately. The same thing applies to if I come here, I can just click on this arrow right here, it will open the child objects of the table. I can come to the tabletop, and I can change the size of the box collider, which is a property of the tabletop collider, to 5. And well, this changes. Now let's check tabletop, which is this one, and you can see it's 5. If I go like, let's pick this one, you can see it's the same. You can see it's the same here, and all I did was change the prefab. So if I change back 1, it's 1 again. You can also change 1 inside your game. So let's see this one. It's not the original, it's the first model we created, the first copy we created, which is called a clone, by the way. We can go to the tabletop, change to 5, okay, and now let's check the others. They didn't change. Why? Because we made this change in our scene view and directly on the object. But now we have the power to apply changes directly on the object. So we have here the prefab, we can select the prefab, this is just gonna select the prefab in our project folder. We can revert it, so it noticed that we changed something, but we can revert it to the prefab, or the original prefab, or you can apply the changes. And if we apply, every prefab will take effect. So this is a nice thing about prefabs, and I hope you understood. So now let's come here, change this, and you can see they are normal. And I hope you understood materials in a simple way, because this is not very, we are not going in much detail for now, but as soon as we are creating our game, we might add some future stuff to our material, like textures. And basically textures are images that we slap on the material. So like here we wanted maybe an image of something a little rugged surface, but that's for a future video. For now, just understand prefabs and how the material works, what it does, and how you can apply that. Can apply it to this light too, and we can come here and put apply, and you can say that it applied to everyone. Okay, so thank you for watching. I see you in the next video.